Welcome to the Celebrity Gourmet Podcast, where we feature top bakery and specialty food entrepreneurs from around the world and share stories and tips on how to create a successful life in the baking world.
Hi, I'm Odette Danello, the host of Celebrity Gourmet Podcast, where I interview women bakery owners to hear about how they live their creative lives and share their adventures in running a bakery business. I want to encourage you to go back and check out past episodes of my podcast. I've interviewed Olga Sagan of Pierogi in Seattle, Marlene Getzler from Freeport Bakery, Patty Stobaugh of Patty Cakes, and Megan Wagstaff of Lady Yum. Today, I'm so excited to talk to Melanie Daniels of Mickey's Pastry Shop of Goldsboro, North Carolina. Melanie is a third-generation master baker. She is one of only 250 master bakers in the country. Mickey's Pastry has been serving the Goldsboro area for over 76 years, and I'm so excited to hear her story of growing up in the bakery business and carrying on her grandfather's and her family's baking legacy. Today's episode is brought to you by Celebrity Gourmet Ventures, Celebrity Cake Studio, and Dragonfly Cakes. We are a family-owned and operated specialty cake bakery in Tacoma. At Celebrity Gourmet, we have been baking joy into all of our artistically designed cakes and desserts for over 25 years. We are proud to work with a vibrant team of cake designers and bakers who help you celebrate the sweet moments in your lives. To learn more about how you can celebrate yourselves or the ones you love, check out our website, Celebrity Cake Studio and dragonflycakes.com, or email us at info@celebritycakestudio.com. Before introducing Melanie, I want to give a big shout out and thank you to the RPIA, what was that again, Melanie?
Resource Partners in Action.
Yes, Melanie and I belong to a conglomerate of bakery owners around the country. If you want to check out their website, I believe it's rpia.com. If that isn't it, message me and I could give you the contact. So, Melanie, I want to thank you so much for saying yes when I invited you to be on my podcast. I'm so excited to talk to you. Being a fellow third-generation bakery owner, I am thrilled to hear about your story. So I wanted to start out, first of all, about how it all started, like how your grandfather started the business.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Odette, for inviting me. And it's a pleasure to be here and tell our story from over here on the East Coast. My grandfather, Mickey McClenny, started the bakery in 1946 when he returned from World War II. Prior to leaving for the war, of course, he was the oldest of four children. He dropped out of school in the 8th grade to feed the family. This was, during the Depression. The dad was not at home. The mom was the homemaker, and he had 3 younger siblings that he felt he needed to provide for. So when Mickey dropped out of school, he went to work for a local candy maker and began his skills. He continued to work, so he had nothing more than an 8th grade education. He was drafted. He went into the Army Air Force and went into the war as a pastry cook. And he sailed on a boat overseas multiple times, back and forth. And that's where he fed many, many people. When he came home back to Goldsboro, which was his hometown, he came back and put his name on the local existing bakery. And therefore, Mickey's Pastry Shop began in January of 1946. Like all of us, he started out with not much, used borrowed equipment, certainly not a lot of hands to get it done. He was in the back baking. He had a helper. He might have had 1, if not 2 ladies up front. And I certainly remember those ladies in my childhood. I feel like they were, and I know they worked with him forever. So we were located in downtown Goldsboro, next to City Hall. We were located there for 56 years. We had 1,700 square feet, if that. And we were just your local town bakery. Of course, when he went into business, he had a sugar ration, so he could buy sugar legally and use it, for productive purposes in supporting the community and providing the community with daily. We have always been open 6 days a week from day one. We never work on Sunday. We're closed at night. We're always closed 2 weeks out of the year, the week of July 4th and the week between Christmas and New Year's. And that's how we started. And we have continued that work schedule. Mickey's firm belief was you always treat everyone the same. Everyone that walks in the front door, you're going to treat them the same. And we have always upheld that as our number one responsibility as the town bakery. Of course, back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, not everyone could shop everywhere. We were one of 2 businesses in the Southeast where everyone was welcome in our front door. We have an awful lot of customers that have been shopping with us for generations, of course.
Were you the first time segregationist bakery?
Yes.
Wow.
We and a little, we have a lot of people that come in and remember those days. I mean, they are still alive, and they do come in. They're very loyal weekly customers. My granddad named a treat for their neighborhood that they grow up in, and it's called Washington pie. Mm-hmm. And it is truly the leftovers from each day. We mix them together. We put them on a piece of pie dough in a sheet pan. We sell them in squares. And it comes out different every day. Put a little bit of thin icing on them. But these people remember that. And it's called Washington pie. And it's named for the local neighborhood from where these people came from. Just, a section of town. No one back then had a car. So everybody walked. You might have ridden a bike if you were lucky. So a lot of foot traffic those days. Well, those individuals that grew up in Little Washington, the neighborhood, have not forgotten us and how good my granddad and my dad treated them. They were allowed to come through the front door, certainly without being judged. No one ever shopped at the back door. That was not allowed. Everybody comes in the front door. To this day, we still treat everyone the same, and that's one of our biggest pats on the back, I should say. Fast forward a few years, my dad, Jerry Ray, joined the business in 1969. He married my mom, Carol, who was Mickey's only child. My mom did not want to come into the business. She became a school teacher. So my dad married into the business and joined the bakery after his 2-year stint as the Presidential Honor Guard stationed in Arlington in the Division of the Army. So he came back in August of 69, and like the rest of us, didn't know anything about the bakery. So we've all learned through trial and error. My dad, Jerry, enhanced and grew the wholesale part of our bakery. Currently, we service 95 grocery stores and convenience stores throughout Eastern North Carolina with snack cakes. Long Johns, cupcakes, cookies, pies, cheese stars. We send those items out daily. So my dad started that in the 80s, and we have grown the wholesale business until now, of course. I came back to the bakery sort of by default, and I came back in 1996. I graduated from Guilford College and thought I wanted to be a school teacher. And I did teach elementary school. And actually at this time of year, during my one and only year of teaching school, my granddad, Mickey, got sick. My mom is an only child. Said, come home for a little while. Well, I came home and I realized how dire the situation was. So I knew that I needed to be back to my family. I certainly finished my year of teaching. I do miss it, but I enjoy teaching here in the bakery, just a different level of teaching. So I came back in '96 and I had 5 years. I worked with my granddad, Mickey, and my dad. So under one roof for 5 years, we had soon to be three certified master bakers.
Wow.
My dad and I completed the certification. He earned his certification in 2002. I earned mine in 2003. And of course, my grandfather, Mickey, was grandfathered into the program into the certification program because of his years or decades of experience. So we are very fortunate to have 3 plaques hanging on our wall here in the bakery for everyone to see. When I received I'm sorry.
Yeah, what did it take to be a certified master baker?
Okay. For starters, and this was then, I'm not sure, I need to read up on the certification requirements. For starters, you had to have 8 years of verifiable experience in a facility, an industrial type facility, in order to even be able to apply for the program. So, during my college years, I worked at a bakery. I worked at a bakery every summer. It wasn't always my own. So you had to have 8 years proven experience. Then you take a proctored exam, and it's everything from managing a bakery, bookwork, sanitation, inventory, everything that you can think of that's under your bakery's roof. After the proctored exam, you schedule a date for a practical exam. And there are 8 products that, as the certified master baker, candidates have to make on site in front of judges. Going into the practical exam, we already knew 3 of the products which we were going to make. So in other words, we could practice those all day long, every day, right here in our shops.
What would that be? Like
conditions.
Donut and cake?
I'm sorry?
What would that be?
We did a cake. We were given a cake, a yellow cake formula, a white bread formula, and maybe a cookie formula. I cannot recall. I'm sorry. So we could practice those and be very well versed in what we were doing. When you get to the test Saturday morning, you're given 5 more formulas. And there was at least one that I had never heard of. So wham, what do we do? Some of the formulas had no instructions, no bake time. They were large formulas. You needed to do the math to cut it down. If your judges were asking for just a 2-layer cake, then you needed to cut it down to just that amount of cake batter using baker's percentage. So it's a whole different ball game. So for 2 days, a whole Saturday and a good portion of Sunday, we're making these 8 products along with other candidates in another shop, in another location. You may not be familiar with the equipment, the temperature of the room, where the ingredients are, what the temperature of the ingredients are, or how much of the ingredients there are to share with everybody. And there's limited supply. We go about making our 8 products. We have a whole staff, a whole panel of judges. You're judged on how well you perform under these conditions. What's your table look like? Is it a mess? Is it neat? Is it straight? What do your tools look like? Are they clean? Are you neat and clean? The ultimate goal is to make a sellable product for these judges. And you know what? If you don't pass a product, you don't pass that product. But you have the opportunity to retake that one product.
That one product.
Yes, that particular one at a different time, at a different site, perhaps. So you better be prepared to work. You better be prepared to, it was tough, but it was great.
Which was your favorite? Which was your least favorite?
And I didn't pass, neither Dad nor I passed it the first time. I'm not sure how many people do pass all 8 products the first time. I'd have to say the cake is my favorite. That was my favorite at that time to make. Eclairs were a little difficult, and although we do make everything from scratch here, the formula that we were presented obviously was a different formula. And, if you're making your pâte chaud from scratch, it can be quite difficult.
Right.
So,
the temperatures in their ovens are not calibrated like yours.
Oh no, they're not. For example, if someone, another candidate or me, if we burnt our cookies, which it was a possibility, and you go back to mix more, there may not be enough sugar. Well, what do you do? It's tough. It's tough. If there's not enough room in the oven and your bread's ready to go in the oven, it's proofed, you got to get it in. Let's talk to our other candidates. And it's all about working as a team as well as working as an individual. Quite a challenge, but certainly well worth it, and something that's never to be forgotten. I can tell you that.
That's awesome. And
yep.
So congratulations. Was that from ASE, which is who issues that certification?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Issues that certification.
The Retail Bakers Association of America, the RBA.
Yeah, RBA. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. And there are different levels of certification now. Certified Master Baker being the top. It's like the all-inclusive. Then you get a certified Journey Baker, certified cake decorator.
When I was on the board of RBA, I was part of the whole group that talked about the cake decorating.
Right.
I was in that committee.
Very good.
I didn't know if they also did the certification for Master Baker. I know they did. I thought it was another organization, but apparently
RBA. And of course we've been members of RBA forever, for as long as I can remember. And as a matter of fact, my dad was on the board of RBA during the early 2000s. And at that time, the building in which we were located in downtown Goldsboro, it was what you would consider like a strip center, a strip of shops. Well, the opposite end from our bakery, the roof fell in.
Oh.
And he was at an RBA meeting somewhere out of town. And I had to call and tell him, we're still standing, but the other end of the building is not. So we need to do something here. So we were able to stay in that location for the next 2 years until we found a piece of land and built a bakery. And lo and behold, when it was time to move into the new bakery, conveniently, he was at another board meeting. So I had to do it all. How
was it running a business with your dad?
It was fun. Some of us handled some of it, and some of us handled this part of it. And as a team, we worked together and have gotten it done. He did retire 5 years ago. Sorry, 3 years ago. 3 years ago, but he does pop in every now and then. And I had about a 5-year warning on the retirement. So he retired in December of 2019. 2 months into his retirement, he had a heart attack. Oh, wow. 3 weeks later, everybody in the country went home for COVID. So in the first quarter of 2020, I shouldered a business, a not so healthy dad, and doing school.
How many children do you have?
I have two. One that I think probably will come back to the bakery. One, I thought she would come back to the bakery, but I think she has other plans. We've got a high schooler and a freshman in college.
That's amazing. So you are a sandwich generation. You take care of parents and children.
Yes.
And a business.
Yes.
So how do you handle it? Like, what's your self-care regimen? Do you have one? How do you manage your life?
Function. Well, I have a very regimented schedule, of course. Early mornings, I'm the second one in. My brother does work with me. He's the first one in. I'm here early in the morning, but before I leave the house in the morning, I used to pack lunch, do laundry, try to get some supper ready. So we would eat as a family in a reasonable hour. Once I'm here at the bakery, I tend to stay here. Coming and going is not my thing. So I pretty much have to have it all lined up. Before I leave the bakery every day, I always know what I'm going to be doing the next day. Now, of course, we all know that can change. We always know what we're going to be making, what orders are ahead of us, if we're getting trucks, if we need to place an order for anything. So there has to definitely be some flexibility in how the day operates. But for me, I feel like I've made it run like a pretty well-oiled machine. And then you just deal with the punches as they come.
That's amazing. That's great. I mean, I think that as women, when you run a business and it's just one of those things that you run
Yep,
along with your house,
yep, yep,
along
yep,
with all this other stuff, right? That makes
yep,
that's the big difference
yep.
between running a business as a woman versus a man.
I,
Normally, there's wives.
yes, and I agree. I mean, I agree. I do think there's a lot to be said for female run businesses, and especially when you have customer interaction, which is probably my favorite part of the job. I have made a tremendous amount of friends through my customer base, and it literally right over the counter. And there's not always time for a great conversation, and it often has to be a quick conversation. But with that being said, I think the females in business can step up to the plate and can get it done.
That's amazing. And roll with the punches, right?
Yes, roll with the punches because, like I said, you never know what's coming. I never know what's coming down the pipe. Some not every day is the same, so you just have to be able to handle it and deal with it and what's coming next.
So what's the big yeah, what is coming next? What are you looking forward to?
Well, in the business, we are trying to enhance and grow our online ordering. I will say that after being in business for 77 years, we are always on the backside of things. We're never on the forefront. We're always behind the times. We are, and that's okay. But it has worked for a long time. We
Right,
are not a trendy bakery.
right.
We just simply have never jumped on the trend bandwagon, and that's okay with us. I think that's what our community expects from us, and we are your classic vintage full line retail bakery.
So
So with
there's
that being said,
there's
online ordering has been difficult. Nothing wrong with that. But online ordering has been difficult. We've introduced the QR codes. Um, and I'm just trying to get in tune with the next generation who lives life a little bit differently than I do. Um, I am not as technology inclined as they are, so to speak. And it's just about tapping into a new customer base.
I totally resonate with that. And you know, the fact that your business has been around for 76 years, and even if you say you're not trendy, it's really there's a description for that in business and in people in life in its circumstance themselves. There's such things as comets, right? They just come in, shine, and then they fizzle, and then
Yeah,
they're stars.
yeah.
And Mickey's pastry shop
Well,
is a star.
well, thank you, thank you, thank you,
That's
thank you.
what I say. I mean, really, a lot of the trends that come in and out, we've been in business ourselves for 25 years, and I grew up in a bakery business. They come in and out, and you just think, wow, we're left behind. But normally, things just kind of fizzle out. Sometimes if the trend doesn't, a lot of times trends don't last.
They
But what
don't.
does last is
They
your
don't.
everyday, intention to do good in the community and to just run a really solid business
Yep.
and contribute to your community and your employees' lives. So that's
Yep.
what matters.
Yeah. Yes. And we're very fortunate that we have number one been in business this long. and been able to survive, a lot of tough times, in the 80s. You know, my dad was going to the grocery store to buy sugar because it was cheaper on the grocery store shelf than it was from our vendors. Also in the 80s, we saw the introduction of in-store bakeries, your bakeries in your grocery stores, and that was new to us. And trying to navigate through that, and stand out as a business who still makes it from scratch every day versus opening a box and reselling a cake in a grocery store, for example, that's how that started. So that trying to navigate that was difficult. Relocating, do we really want to continue to stay in business? We've had this great location for over 5 decades. That was that kind of weighed on me. Do I really want to carry it on? Do we want to build a new facility that's over twice the size, which we've already
And
outgrown?
the mortgage, the overhead.
Yeah, right. Exactly. How are we going to pay for it? That was a big chunk. So, and then of course, being able, like everyone else, being able to navigate COVID. We were fortunate when we built our bakery. The first thing we knew we wanted was a drive-up window. And it's great. It definitely paid off during COVID. People were either not getting out, they were scared to get out of their car, what have you. They were bored. First of all, they were bored. They had all these kids at home. They were trying to homeschool them or school online. We need a break. So let's go to the bakery, to the drive-up window. And so that was a bonus that really paid off. And that's when I decided we needed to get into shipping Long Johns, which we put in the grocery stores. And we needed to get into some online ordering. So we're trying with the online ordering. It's trendy, but I don't think it's going anywhere.
Yeah, I think that is the place to be. I mean,
Yeah.
I think the online ordering just makes it so that there's less conversation in the bakery and less misunderstanding.
Correct.
Is that what you're finding?
Yes, I do find that less conversation. Here's the product. This is what it looks like. You're going to get what it looks like as pictured on our website. You're not going to find everything in the online ordering as you do in our bakery. We still want you to come in and look. We invite you to come in and look, of course, but less conversation, less chance for error with the online ordering. That's for sure. And we found that more people want to come in and look and see what we have to offer, walk in the door, rather than order it online. But I think in time that will change, because of the younger generations. They like to do everything on their phone.
Yeah,
I still like to do everything in person.
right. I mean, it's interesting, right? Especially through COVID, with all these young kids are just already studying online. They make online friends. Their lives are all online, and they don't. So this, I have young adults too, and the term that they say is touch grass. You know what that means? Like they have it's time to touch grass. That means go outside and touch reality.
Yeah, exactly. So
Your
with
bakery
the bakery
provides that, right? Your
right.
bakery provides that.
We do, and that's what I was going to say. Yes, we do, and I think since we are such a homey, vintage, been around a long time kind of place, it made people feel comfortable during COVID. And of course, our busiest days are when the weather is bad. We're a place of comfort, whether it be eating, drinking a cup of coffee, or great personal face-to-face conversation. We feel that that's one of our top stars and our crown, because we're going to talk to you.
I love it. Can you tell me a little bit more about Washington pie? I'm so intrigued.
I mean, it really is. It's all the leftovers: donuts, cakes, cookies, pies, anything. So it varies from day to day. It might have raisins.
Add what, eggs into it? Like that's it?
Yeah, I mean, we got to have something to hold it together. We add a little bit of liquid to it, and we have our pâte dough obviously rolled out in the sheet pan, and we mix it up. We have people to buy it. It might have raisins, it might have coconut, it might have nuts. It might have cinnamon. So the answer is, if Washington pie has something I might be allergic to, is it in Washington pie? Yes, it's in Washington pie. It is.
Gluten-free? No. It is
No.
vegan? No.
No, no, no. So in other words, we don't have any waste. We have zero waste.
That's
That's where our leftovers go. We also send our day old products to the local soup kitchen.
cool.
And we have done that for over, I'd say, 50 years to the soup kitchen. So zero waste here. Zero.
When I was growing up in a bakery, I was the bread pudding maker where they take all the leftover bread
Yep.
and you basically add, you add cornstarch to it, you
Right.
add sugar, you
Right.
add cinnamon
Mhm.
and sometimes raisins, and you make it, and it's
Mhm.
now in a bar, and you're like
Yep.
eating bread pudding.
Right.
So when I came to the US, I was like, bread pudding? That's like the end, that's like the end of life of the
Correct.
bread. So I
Correct.
would never
Right.
order it, but like my friends are like, my favorite thing to have is like bread pudding. I'm like, why? But
Why?
now it's like, wow, bread pudding is fancy here.
It is. It is. I mean, it's a no waste, and just to turn around and make some money off product that you were going to get rid of. Uh, you know,
Brilliant.
it's done pretty well for us.
The repurposed, and what is it? It's like a sustainable way of
Yeah,
sustainable. It's literally like a
it is.
sustainable
It
way to
is.
run a business.
It is. And I tell you what, the folks that for whom the Washington Pie was named after, and folks that are my parents' age in their mid 70s and older, they have a reunion here in town every Memorial Day weekend, and we always give them a whole sheet pan of Washington pie.
That's beautiful. I love it.
And they love it.
I love that story. I have to. I'm gonna have to talk to you offline about Washington pie. I'm
Yeah.
very,
Okay.
very interested.
Okay.
I think it's fascinating and
Well,
amazing. Um,
yeah.
so my last question as we're ending this podcast, I
Okay.
wanted to know if you were to talk to your younger self, Melanie, what would you tell
Well, I think right now, if I were maybe getting out of school, deciding what I wanted to do, I think right now in our day and age, I think it would be very difficult to go into business for yourself. I was fortunate that we had a business, we had a name, we had equipment, and we had a loyal customer following. Um, if I were going to go into business on my own, I would not. I would really have to think long and hard about that. Um, there's so many mistakes that can be made. Not that I haven't made any mistakes. I've made plenty. Um, but there's so many mistakes that can be made that you may never recoup from.
right?
Um, I would stick with if I were going into the bakery business, I would not do the trendy thing. Like they just come and go too much for me. I don't know that I would change anything about what I'm doing now. I've been at it for 27 years. I don't know what else I would do. Um, there's a lot I could do, but right now I've got my hands full. I'm doing all I want to do. Um, if the fourth generation comes along, um, he might have some ideas on how to expand the business. Obviously, our grocery store market is wide open, and we're fortunate enough to have the equipment to produce scratch products pretty quickly, so we can keep our costs low. But if you're going into business, especially the food business, you need to have a pretty good background and be up on the times about how to cost your product.
Right.
Cost from my vendors change on a regular basis. And you have to be able to know how to handle that so that you can stay afloat. Because who wants to go under after you've worked so hard? So you need to know what you're doing.
Right.
When I came back, both my granddad and my dad were big golfers, and they closed the bakery at noon on Wednesdays so they could go hit their 1 o'clock golf game. Well, that was not offered to me. And although I'm an athlete myself, that was not offered to me. They're like, here you go. Here's the checkbook. I'll be on the golf course and I'll be back at work tomorrow.
Well, thank you so much for
You're welcome.
sharing your story and your insights. I really appreciated learning a lot from you.
Thank
So
you.
I hope you have a great day.
Thanks, you too. And just know that I'm certainly willing to help anyone or talk to anyone. We have always here at Mickey's been willing to lend a hand. As a matter of fact, this week I've been on the phone with some people trying to work on a piece of a secondhand equipment that we got. So I think our relationship with RBA and RPIA is very open. We're always happy, more than happy to help in any way we can, and anyone is more than welcome to come visit us. Not that we have a lot to show, but we would love to have you.
Absolutely. What's your email?
You can find me at Melanie at mickeyspastry.com, and that's MELANIE at Mickey's MICKEYS pastry.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thanks for being on my show, and have a fantastic day.
You too.
Thanks for listening to the Celebrity Gourmet Podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.